Decisions made by ATF field agents all the way up to those made by the Deputy Assistant Attorney General are to blame for the fast and furious gun strategy that allowed criminals to access and transport weapons into Mexico. All of that according to testimony by the Inspector General for the Department of Justice. ABC 15 investigator Lori Jane Gleha watched today's hearing on Capitol Hill. Lori Jane, who did he say is ultimately responsible for all of this?
Well, Stevie says there's not really one person to blame. There were a series of failures in this case and several opportunities for leaders within the ATF, the U.S. Attorney's Office, and the Department of Justice to stop the gun-walking strategy. Democrats and Republicans praised his impartial report, and they say they're focused on making sure things improve across the board.
We're going to want to make sure there's change so this does not happen again.
Government leaders are taking steps to improve oversight within the Department of Justice and the ATF. They want to prevent the misguided tactics linked to guns found at the murder scene of Border Patrol agent Brian Terry from resurfacing.
There were a series of failures in the controls.
The Inspector General for the Department of Justice testified Thursday that his office would follow up to make sure recommendations for improved law enforcement coordination and better communication within the Justice Department and the ATF would be taken seriously. Meanwhile, he continues to investigate whether the ATF whistleblowers, including John Dodson, were treated fairly after they publicly revealed ATF's dangerous gun-walking strategy. A strategy Dodson says he questioned early on.
My regret is that I allowed myself to be talked into that instead of going with my gut.
Dodson told ABC 15 he's involved in 5 other Inspector General investigations for which he says he was a victim of retaliation. He says he's been doing desk work in South Carolina, but he wants to get back to field work in Phoenix.
In a perfect world, let me come back to Arizona and do the job you sent me out here to do in 2009.
The Inspector General said it takes courage for someone in law enforcement to come forward and blow the whistle. And he also said that it's clear that his investigation supports that gun-walking occurs. Steve, I know that some of the whistleblowers were accused of lying, so he says his investigation clearly supports that that is what happened.
Yeah, so many of them faced retaliation, which has to have a chilling effect, I'm sure.
Yeah, and that's being investigated right now. So
thanks, Lori Jane.
Yeah.
All right, as a new